This is Joan Bell, Director of PMO here at Sikich, and we're continuing in our discussion about our guide that we've created here. And today we're talking about business process documentation. So Joan, business documentation is a bit of a pain, right? Why do you think it's so important that we make this a priority?
Well, one of the things that we've noticed or that we hear a lot in implementations is, well, that person knows that, and we've got a little bit of tribal knowledge going on out on our shop floor or even, in our back office. And, you really need to be prepared to, one, test your system once it gets up there, but also make sure that your process documentation is complete and thorough so that you can carry on those operations. If we have an instance like we have now where people need to be out of the office or remote, we need to make sure that business processes can carry on and those can be continued without missing a beat. So process documentation is a great way to do that. We also recommend it because it's a great way for training. What we find in using the task recorders and the guided steps through the system is a great way for people to learn the system. One, without having to interrupt others to say, how do I do that, right? And go and pull that out of someone's brain. But they can follow those steps in the system, kind of that guided tour, and train themselves. So we found it's a great way for training as well as for new hires, as well as people who are going to be new to the system. And like I said, also a way to educate people. And again, in terms of who's going to be taking on certain responsibilities as they move into different roles and get that information out of people who might have been there for some longevity, right? So.
Well, great. So how would you recommend that these project teams go about starting this documentation process?
Well, one of the great things that we do is we provide them with business processes. So we've already documented a lot of best practices and when we say best practices in terms of how it operates within Microsoft Dynamics 365. So we've already documented those. So what we suggest is start with those and then let's edit them and make them specific to you. That way you don't have to start from scratch. And what we've also done with our business processes is we've kept them small and manageable, right? It's kind of that old adage of how do you eat an elephant, right? So we've kept them small and manageable. We like to say between 10 to 15 steps, okay. Because then if you've got a nice handover and you've got a nice succinct number of criteria that you have to meet so that people know where the handoffs are and you don't have to get a whole bunch of people involved to complete testing a certain process.
Okay. Great. Perfect. Well, thanks, Joan. Appreciate that. And that concludes our business process documentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.